Greetings, math friends. I wanted to talk about hidden figures, but before I get into hidden figures, I wanted to talk about Katherine Johnson. I ran across Katherine Johnson's name at some point before I had heard what Hidden Figures was about, so I was excited when I actually heard that Hidden Figures focused on Katherine Johnson with the two other women, but she was one of the focal people in that movie. So that was exciting, along with the other excitement of there being a movie about mathematicians and that coming up on a premiere. So there was a lot of fun and excitement for this, but it also became a nice educational piece for myself as well as for our society, and the subject that was presented in the movie, as well as what's much more presented in depth in the book itself. One thing of interest in the book, if I am recalling correctly, Katherine Johnson was eventually awarded 3 honorary doctorates. So that's a great and exciting thing, and it's really showing a serious amount of respect that she deserves for the work that she did as a mathematician for NASA and its precursor. She had started graduate studies, which was amazing in itself, and she had some great professors that helped her with her mathematical studies, and she was eventually awarded these degrees, and that's fantastic. When they had announced that they were going to do a movie, Hidden Figures, on mathematicians, I was excited. They don't do a lot of movies about mathematicians, although there are some movies out there. After I found out they were doing Hidden Figures, I jotted down the release date, and it's kind of along the lines of some major sci-fi movie event where, you know, you wait for months and then you go to the release date or whatever. That was kind of my thinking, you know, like, new movie coming out, mathematicians are involved, and we have a release date. And I didn't go on opening night, but I did go and watch the movie at the theater, and there wasn't a big crowd when I was there, but there were people in the theater, and I thought it was a great movie. It had a good story, presented some good topics to think about. It goes well with other movies that are based on the space program, that the early building of the U.S. space program, and the people involved and the situations involved there. You probably know at this point that Hidden Figures is based on a book written by Margot Lee Shetterly, and this is my illustrated edition. Beautiful cover. I'm really blessed to have this edition of the book. I bought this from Barnes & Noble. To read the book gives you so much more depth and more of the reality of not just what these 3 women went through, but the culture around them and other people. The book just, it talks about U.S. history, it talks about what these women had going on in their lives. It's shocking in some places. The idea that at one point there was a county in the United States that, to avoid integrating African Americans into their school system, they just shut down the schools everywhere in the county. It didn't matter if you were black or white, no one was going to school at that point. That's how That's how the county leadership handled trying to avoid desegregation in the school system. They just said, we can't desegregate if we don't have schools, so we're not going to have schools. So if you wanted your children to have an education in that county, you had to figure out a way to get them to another county to get them an education. It's crazy. Another thing in here that is just terrible is the fact that African Americans who are veterans of the U.S. military in uniform being shown disrespect and not being allowed to ride on a bus or things of that nature. These are men that served our country, wore the U.S. military uniform, served like everybody else, and is showing this kind of disrespect when they come back and interact with civilians. The military gets disrespect in places, but this was not because the person just had an issue with being anti-war or something like this. This was a matter of they didn't like the way somebody looked. They didn't like somebody's skin color. So that's terrible. If you enjoyed Hidden Figures and you haven't read the book, the depth that is in this book is great. You get a lot of good history. You get a deeper look at the lives of these women and their family, the build-up of some of the U.S. complex as we moved from era to era. We move out of the war program into the space race, things like that. A lot of good history in here. So if you like mathematics, engineering, technology, that kind of things, if you like U.S. history, history in general, if you're interested in African American history, there's just so much packed into this book. It is well written. It's a great read. I enjoyed both these. Both the book and the movie are great things. Watch the movie, read the book. I hope you can find something in here that you will connect with. Cheerful Calculating.